Imagine a quiet night, the sky dark and still, with nothing but your calm breath and the soft ticking of time in the background. Now, let your mind gently drift, far from today's routines, to a place very old, a place hidden in the heart of Rome. Behind high stone walls lie dusty shelves holding centuries of history, controversy, and quiet secrets. Welcome to tonight's slow journey. We will explore something rarely discussed, softly and thoroughly. The Vatican Secret Archives. A historical vault guarded fiercely, filled with documents that haven't been touched for centuries. There is no rush here, no tension. Just stories flowing like candlelight. And with each one, we ask, why were some pages of history perhaps never meant to be read? Take a deep breath, okay? And let's begin. The unopened documents. Imagine yourself walking slowly through a long corridor. Cold stones forming 3-meter-thick walls. Dim lights hanging from the high ceiling. It's casting a faint glow over towering metal shelves. Shelves that hold over 50 kilometers of documents. This is only a portion of the Archivum Secretum Vaticanum, now called the Vatican Apostolic Archive. Here lie papal letters, diplomatic reports, inquisitional court transcripts, and many things that have never been opened since they were first penned. Theories abound. Could they contain evidence of extraterrestrials sent to Earth? Or perhaps documents about Jesus that were never included in the Gospels? Maybe even prophecies of the end times written by popes long past? Maybe. But we will not rush toward the sensational. What we do know is that some documents are officially inaccessible, even to trained historians deemed too sensitive. Some have no date. Some are written in code, and others are listed only by shelf number, with no description, no title. Were they meant to disappear? You might wonder, why can't such documents be read? Why not even known? And here is where our narrative begins to gently descend through time. We do know that the Vatican archives were first cautiously opened in 1881, thanks to Pope Leo XIII. Even now, only a handful of scholars are granted limited access, and only for specific topics in narrow time windows. One request, one archive. No more. The Galileo trial, the Templars, and the missing files. Now, let's step deeper. Past the shelves that grow cooler as night draws in, we arrive at a silent section. And here, the more tangled stories begin to whisper from brittle paper. Imagine an old manuscript, its ink fading, but one name still clearly visible: Galileo Galilei. In 1633, the astronomer stood before the Roman Inquisition, accused of spreading heresy, that the earth revolved around the sun. What truly happened in that courtroom during Galileo's trial? What was spoken, denied, or forced out? Some of the answers lie within the Vatican archives. In recent decades, parts of the Galileo case files have been released, but some pages remain unavailable. There are paragraphs never published, redacted sections in official copies, and secret reports written by Vatican observers. Never for the public, only for the Pope at the time, were Galileo's words reframed. To preserve the dignity of the Church, imagine copies of his letters, stacks of advisors' notes, small marginal scribbles, never meant for our eyes, yet still. they remain in that quiet place. And from Galileo, we turn further back to the 14th century. Knights in Europe then were cloaked in betrayal, and history darkened under the mysterious name of the Knights Templar. A wealthy, powerful military order suddenly dissolved. Why official accounts mention heresy, perversion, and coerced confessions. But rumors whispered that the Templars held dangerous documents, ones that could threaten the church and crown. When the order fell, so too did much of their records. Some believe that certain Templar secrets were not destroyed, but rather stored in the Vatican archives, sealed tight, never opened. Could they include treasure maps, or simply forgotten receipts? We don't know. But the gaps in the record remain tempting, and it doesn't end there. Even centuries later, scholars continue to find cross-references to documents that never appear. Reports of trials, records of excommunication, personal confessions from vanished figures, all pointing to files that somehow cannot be found. Were they truly lost, or just hidden within a filing system almost impossible to penetrate? Why does the Vatican refuse to open certain archives? Imagine yourself seated in a silent reading room. Tall windows filtering in the gentle light of the afternoon, the air laced with the faint dust of ancient books. You hold an old volume, but some of its pages are sewn shut, not torn, not damaged, just tensionally sealed. That's what exploring much of the Vatican Secret Archives can feel like. Since their official establishment in 1612 by Pope Paul V, the Vatican Archives have housed the documents of the Catholic Church, not only religious texts, but political, social, and diplomatic records as well. Over 50 miles of shelving, most of it strictly guarded, with only a fraction open to academic access. Still, the question lingers: why do so many documents remain sealed? The answer isn't always mysterious. Sometimes it's simply a matter of time. The Vatican traditionally enforces a 75-year rule, meaning materials are not made public until 75 years after their creation. Yet even within that rule, many documents remain withheld far beyond that limit. The reasons? Privacy, they say. Many documents involve individuals or families still living, or contain deeply personal information about confessions, internal conflict, or secret negotiations. Revealing such material, they argue, could damage reputations or diplomatic relations. But there are quieter reasons, more subtle in nature. Doctrinal protection, perhaps. Some records might contain views or decisions no longer aligned with current teachings. Revealing them could cause confusion or debate. Then there's the risk of misinterpretation. A letter from the Middle Ages, for example, could sound harsh or flawed when read through a modern lens. The Vatican is aware of the power of words, and sometimes silence becomes a form of stewardship. And finally, we must consider the symbolic reason. Keeping some knowledge hidden lends an aura of grandeur, even awe. In an age of ever-increasing transparency, a well-preserved mystery can offer spiritual meaning or preserve power. Behind the secrecy lies a balance between preservation and disclosure, between the desire to know and the need to forget. And now, let us rise from these sealed shelves. we ascend into the world of crimson-robed cardinals. Tea poured in marble rooms, and gazes behind stained glass windows to witness a different sphere altogether. The social and elite life of the Vatican. Afternoon tea, silk gowns, and social walls. Imagine the Roman afternoon sun. Its rays gently filter through stained glass, warming marble floors and tapestries kissed by time. Behind the soaring walls of the Vatican, life moves to a rhythm far removed from the damp alleyways beyond. Inside, cardinals rest upon carved chairs, their robes made of fine wool, sometimes trimmed in gold lace. Porcelain cups release soft steam from herbal tea served by unseen hands. In another room, Catholic nobility whisper about the turbulence of the world while the outside touches them only through formal reports. This is the world of the Vatican elite, a realm where time slows and social divides are seen but never spoken. Outside, a young tailor might be stitching in a cramped and dim room, hands rough, clothing worn. Inside, silk gowns and golden chasubles are folded with care, embroidered with metallic thread, prepared for ornate masses. Picture a young woman, wife to an ambassador, walking through a hidden garden bordered by iron fences. The breeze carries lavender and the dust of Latin manuscripts. She does not know what the city's drains smell like, and perhaps she doesn't need to. Social walls were not just physical, but spiritual and intellectual. Education, language, and even time to reflect were luxuries not afforded to all. In the Vatican, a letter could shift the course of history, while outside its walls, a letter might vanish in a puddle of rain. Yet not all of this was born of malice. Many within the church elite believed this separation to be divinely ordered. They saw prayer, liturgy, and contemplation as requiring distance from the chaos of the world. Meanwhile, the church bell tolls slow, majestic, unhurried, reminding all of eternity. And now, let us slowly return from the past. From the world of crimson robes and shadowed corridors, of letters locked away and truths decaying in silence, we return home to warm blankets and a world that, while complex, is not quite as dark as it once was. A gentle farewell, and now we reach the end of tonight's journey. We've wandered the narrow lanes of Victorian slums, watched small fingers stitch in darkness. We've heard slow footsteps in fog-drenched alleys where a figure named Jack became a shadow. We've opened doors to secret Vatican libraries holding forgotten truths. And finally, we've sat quietly behind invisible walls, walls dividing poverty and luxury, obscurity and power, silence and sacredness. You might wonder, why does all this feel so distant, so unfamiliar? But in truth, everything we explore tonight is more than just the past. It's an echo of a world that once was, and its footprints still linger in ours. And how we separate those with power from those without, and how knowledge is kept and withheld, and how our cities are designed, and in little rituals like afternoon tea. But for now, let it all drift away. Let the image of cold stone corridors fade into darkness. Let the sound of a quill against parchment fade into stillness. Let the candlelight in a monk's chamber slowly dim. And let the final bell of the night ring gently in your mind, as if whispering, "It's time to rest." You are safe now. Warm, calm, and far from the clamor of the past. Let your thoughts wander freely. If you're still awake, that's all right. If you're asleep, that's perfect. History will be here again, waiting for you tomorrow night. Until then, good night.